Right, welcome to this Warhammer 40,000 advice video, and in this one we're going to be covering a subject that I know is going to have a lot of interest, and that is how to save money at collecting Warhammer 40,000. Get quite a lot of comments, people saying, very expensive hobby, can't afford it, gave up collecting years ago. Games Workshop prices keep going up, and it's becoming unaffordable. So got 10 points in this video here that are all good advice on how you can save money in the hobby, and it will make a big difference if you apply these. And not really wanting to boast, but having applied these currently, my collecting sort of breaks even each year. That is, it doesn't really cost me, well, hardly anything to collect my forces. Now that may sound quite unbelievable, but as we run through these 10 points, you'll see how I've managed to do it. So stay tuned for this one. It's going to be interesting, and hopefully we're going to save you a whole load of money. So just a disclaimer, I don't work for Games Workshop. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever. This is just advice coming from a gamer that's collected lots of different armies and quite a vast collection, and just learnt different tricks and things that you can do to save yourself a whole load of money. So is Games Workshop an expensive hobby? Well, it appears that it is, but if you're wise, a little bit of cunning, and this is all legal, by the way, I'm not telling you to go out and steal the stuff, but if you're a little bit wise and clever and careful and patient, then there's no reason why you can't keep the costs right down. So just think about it. Is Games Workshop expensive? Say you spend, you're collecting sort of a 1,500 point army, and it's going to take you, say, a year to collect it. That's to buy it, make it, and then paint it, have the whole thing finished. And say you spend £300 on that force, and then we'll say another £100 to cover your materials like your paints and spray and stuff. So £400 in the space of a year. But if you really think about that as a hobby, that's not too bad going. I mean, if you're into any other hobbies, say your hobby's motorbikes, or you're into golfing, or you're out playing football, for example, and I play football at the weekends, it's £5 every game. If you total up the cost of other hobbies that you do, or other hobbies that are out there, then this hobby really isn't that bad compared to others. I mean, there's an initial cost of the books and the figures, but when compared with others, it's not too bad. And another thing, another good thing with Games Workshop stuff is that it does hold its value. I mean, even the out of production figures will still hold the value and still sell for good money. I mean, other hobbies, you spend out and then the money's gone, you can't get it back. Say it's on some kind of activity, you pay your money for it and then it's gone and you've got nothing in return, as far as something you can sell on later on. But with Games Workshop, what you paint and what you have, what you collect, it sits there, it holds its value, which is another advantage as well. So if you stand back and think about it, compared to other hobbies, it's not too bad. But the problem is that some people do make mistakes, which I'm going to cover in a minute, and it can end up being very expensive indeed. But with a little bit of wisdom and patience, and these 10 tips here, I think will really help you. It'd be good advice for new ones to come into the hobby, and also for those really that have been collecting perhaps for a long time. These are just some extras and some advice here that you can do to keep the cost of the hobby down. So the first point is don't collect too much. Massive point, this one. So my best advice, if you're starting the hobby or you're starting a new army, you want the rulebook, and then you want the codex first. I didn't always do this, but in recent armies that I've done, I've got the codecs first, and then taken my time, gone through it, and then gradually made up my mind of certain units that I absolutely definitely want in the force. And that's either because they play well in the game, or they look really nice, or just like the look of them. And then from there, I buy the first few core units, and then paint them up, and then expand the force. And recent armies that I've done, Necrons, Blood Angels, Dark Eldar, they're all small armies. Pretty much what you see in the games is pretty much what my collection is for those. It means that I've kept the force tight. I haven't got lots of spare units, and that really helps keep the cost down. Some of those that have gone into the hobby and they've left saying it's too, really, really expensive, and they regret getting into it. I can imagine that some of those people are ones that have spent out on a massive amount of stuff all in one go, and then those things have sat there for months unpainted, and then they've lost interest, and that's where it can really hurt. And that's if you have a massive spend out, and then you actually don't construct or paint the force, or never get around to finishing the whole thing. So best advice I can give is start small, and don't collect too much. So codecs first, and if you spread things out and take your time, you don't really notice the cost so bad. So aim for the codecs first, and then a small force, build it up, and get into the discipline of buying a couple of units, painting them, finishing them, using them in games, and then moving on to the next units. Makes the experience more exciting for you, and you will enjoy it if you discipline yourself to finish units off. You could look at the units that you've done, be proud of your work, and then look forward to the next project. So with that first point, think about it. If you were to go on a massive spending spree, you spend £600. Well, now if you control yourself, take your time, you can spend £300 in the space of a year, and immediately you've knocked that cost of your hobby right down. You're being efficient, you're buying stuff, and you're painting it, and you're taking your time, and that time period, that stretch of time, keeps the cost down. You're not spending out vast amounts in short periods, so it makes the hobby more manageable. Second point is to buy your stuff from discount wargames companies. On average, they will reduce the cost down by about 20%. So, you buy something for £20, you get it for 16. And that just chips away at the overall cost as well. There's loads of companies out there in the UK, Age of Strife, you can buy stuff through them. And also, we play a lot of our games at Tabletop Nation, that's Wayland Games. And Wayland Games are a massive discount wargames company as well. So they'll take on average about 20% off the cost, and that can make a big difference. That will save you some money there as well. So when I'm buying new, I try to buy through one of those companies. Sometimes I'll use Games Workshop directly. Games Workshop are good for their stock levels. They'll get things out to you very quick, and they offer good postage. I think at the moment, if you spend £10 or more, then you get free postage. So that's handy. If I need to get a few bits or certain things that might be out of stock at other places, then I can just go directly to Games Workshop. Right, the third point, and I've got into the habit of doing this, and that is I buy stuff from eBay. There may be other auction sites and stuff out there. Gumtree is another one. I have seen Games Workshop stuff on there. Whole armies for sale on Gumtree, so that's a good one to check out. But I also use eBay as well. eBay really handy for spare parts, and also for second-hand stuff, units for sale. There's quite a lot of sellers out there, and I get stuff from eBay. And the good thing about eBay is you can put a search in on eBay. So there's a certain type of unit you're after. You put that search in, and you can save that search, and then eBay will email you when a unit or when an item of that description is uploaded, so you can get to it quick, because often things are snapped up quite quickly on eBay. But I use so my Dark Elder army I bought from eBay, the whole thing, and got it for a very good price. It came with the codex, it came with a whole lot of units, and then what I did was I painted the units that I wanted my force, and there were some spare that came with the army. I then resold those and got some money back, just again knocking the cost down. So my Dark Elder force I didn't pay too much for at all, so very happy about that one. And with eBay, that is a good point. There are people that sell their whole armies, and you can often get a very, very good deal if you buy a whole army at once. If you save up your money, just have it on standby, and then keep a lookout on eBay. You can snatch up a whole force there. And that point really rolls into point number 4, and that is to get into the habit of selling on your old figures and units. Even if units are out of date, they still hold their value, and you're able to sell them on. Say you've got a force, there's 10 units in the force, and there's a unit there that you just never use, and you're not really interested in using it anymore. Then take a picture of it, put it on eBay, or sell it to a friend, or whatever, but move stuff on that you don't use, and that'll help bring a bit of money in. You can put it into your hobby fund, and that's money that you can plow into other projects. Now, I've got into the habit of doing that. I've been looking around my spare bits box and old units that I'm not using anymore. Projects have started and I'm not interested in carrying on, and I've got into the habit of selling that stuff on. I've made some good money on eBay, and I've been using that fund to then purchase new projects, and I've been pretty much breaking even with that. So the money that I've made from selling stuff, I've then put into new projects, and really hasn't cost me anything so far this year to collect for this hobby. So if you're sitting on old stuff, have a look around, check out in your loft, or go through your old boxes, and you'll be surprised what you find, and then move that stuff on, and then you can create a little hobby fund from there. So it's another tip there to help you build up a fund for your hobby. Next point, number 5, it's up to you, but for me, I don't buy the extras, and that means that anything sort of extra in the hobby, some of the extra books that Games Workshop do, things like extra types of customized dice, and so on, just extras that you don't really need. I tend to avoid them, and that helps keep the cost down as well. But that's up to you. Some people like collecting all the extra stuff, they like playing all the extra missions. James likes buying that stuff, but for me, I just keep to the core, rule book and codexes, and then pretty much I don't expand out from there, and that's helped keep the cost down as well. I mean, you think, oh, I need to buy this book, and you end up hardly looking at it and hardly using it. The rule book is enough for me. So by avoiding the extras, then that will help save some money for you as well. Then point number 6 is share the costs. So obviously not everyone's going to be able to do this, but James and I sort of collect together, and for some things we split the cost. So for example, when 6th edition came out, the rulebook, I think James and I, we decided we'd go halves on the cost of the book. Little things like that can help as well. If you're in a wargames club, or there's a group of you that play, you can decide to split the cost on different things. If you're in a club, you can all chip in to buy some terrain. So instead of you having to buy a whole board and all the terrain yourself, you can all chip in, and between you, that will bring the cost right down as well. Those kind of little things, it makes sense to do it, and by sort of sharing the costs of certain things, then that will help keep your expenses down as well. Right, then number 7 is to sell spare parts. Now, for example, my XV88s, I thought about how I was going to do them. I decided to build them with the heavy rail rifles, and then I had spare parts on the sprues. The high yield missile pods were spares, and I thought to myself, well, actually there might be someone out there that's interested in buying those, so I put them on eBay, and they sold, and managed to get back some money from them. And that's just, again, you pay out for a kit and then you sell off part of it when you're finished, and that again brings the costs down as well. All these little things all just chip away at the overall cost, and it helps bring things down. Those spare parts that I sold, it meant that I got that unit cheaper, and then the money that I generated from it went into the hobby fund, and it can help fund other new projects. I sell my old codexes, even though they're out of date. I sell those, old rule books, old supplements and extras, all of that stuff. I move it on, so it doesn't build up clutter, it doesn't sit there and gather dust. I just move the stuff on, and then I get some money coming in for that, and it just clears everything away and generates some money for you. Try and get into the habit of doing that, and that will help save you. Then number 8 is what I've called here, keep a lookout. You never know what kind of deals and things you can get. I mean, it applies to the other points. You know, impatiently you might say, I need to buy the whole army now. And you go out and then you buy the whole force, and then you've spent out all that money. But if you're patient and keep a lookout for what you want, then say you bought a couple of units, and then during the course of the year, as you're building up your collection, you see one of the units, your friend's selling it, and you buy it from him really cheap. And then another unit, you see it on eBay, secondhand, you get it really cheap there, and you gradually collect it. And it's giving you time, as you take your time, it's giving you that opportunity to keep a lookout and to snatch any deals that come up. I was out in town recently, and I was in a shop, and that shop, the shop next to it had a really bad fire, and the smoke had got through into the shop next door, into the model shop. Right, then the next point is to buy from and to sell to your friends. Often you can get some brilliant deals from those that go to your wargames club, or friends that you play the games with. They might say, well, I'm not interested in collecting this force anymore, and they make you an offer, and you can often buy a load of stuff, and it's already constructed and made. Sometimes it's already painted, and you're able to get it at a brilliant price. So that's also a good way of keeping your costs down. Not just buying from them, but you can sell things to people as well. You know, someone might say, well, I'm thinking of putting this stuff on eBay, but if you're interested, you can buy it now, and you can haggle a price and get a good deal there. And often I've managed to get stuff at brilliant costs there. So that one can make a big difference. Right, then the last point here, I've put paint for people. That's if you're able to do it. You can paint miniatures for someone else, you can charge them, and then the money that you get from that, some of it or all of it, you can then use to fund your own collection. I know people that do that. It's quite effective. If you're not able to paint for people, then you could offer just to construct things for them, or to make terrain for them. That can be very advantageous as well. But all of those points, right, so those are the points there, and some good advice. I'm going to run through those, but as I was putting the video together, I've actually thought of some bonus points, an extra 3 bonus points I'm going to give you. So just can't believe I didn't put these in. So this is really turning into a video full of good advice here. So I'm going to run through these 10, and then stay tuned at the end. I'm going to give you an extra 3 bonus points here that will help you save more money as well. But number 1 for these 10 is don't collect too much. Big point. Massive mistake that people make is they buy a whole lot of stuff, they never paint it, it sits there, and because they've been impatient, they've just decided I want all this stuff, and then they don't enjoy the hobby, they don't follow it along, they don't take the time, and end up spending a whole load of money. So don't collect too much. Don't start off thinking, I've got to buy a whole army. Just build up your collection slowly and enjoy it as you go along. Number 2, buy your stuff if it's new. Buy it from a discount wargames company. Whaling Games, Age of Strife, like I mentioned. There's other companies out there. On average, you're going to get about 20% off of your stuff. And then number 3, eBay. I use eBay, very, very handy for small things, medium, and even whole armies. Gumtree as well, you can buy stuff. And also mention there, don't just buy stuff from there, but upload your stuff. And then if a whole load of people are doing that in the community, then you've got a whole marketplace out there of Warhammer 40,000 stuff that you can get at a good price. And then number 4, sell on your old stuff. Get into the habit of doing it. Even spare parts, spare sprues, old projects that you've started, damaged stuff, old codexes, old rulebooks, all that kind of thing. Sell it, move it on. It clears out space for you, and it generates some money for your hobby fund. Then number 5, it's down to you on this one. Don't buy the extras. I tend to avoid all the extra supplements and extra bits and things that you can get, and if I stay away from those, and that keeps the cost down as well. And number 6, share the costs if you're able to do it. Go halves with someone on the rulebook, for example, like I do with James, or all chip in some money and then buy a club terrain. I mean, wargames clubs are great ways of keeping your hobby efficient. You don't have to buy everything at the wargames club. There's stuff there that you can use, and that's a good way to go. Then number 7, sell spare parts, specifically spare parts from your kits and sprues, and that will help you generate a little bit of money as well. Then number 8, keep a lookout. That's for bargains and things as they come up. If at the start of the year you buy your whole entire army, then later on you might see one of those units or part of the army reduced. You better get it at a better price. If you buy everything off straight away, then you're not able to do that. But if you gradually collect and keep an eye out for deals and things, then you're more likely to save there. Number 9, buy and sell from your friends. Big point. You can get brilliant deals from people who are trying to sell and move stuff on, often at a really, really reduced price, and often the stuff's already constructed for you, saving you loads of time, and sometimes already painted. And then number 10 is paint for people, and by that I mean just like commissions. You might be able to barter with someone and say, if you give me a few of your spare tanks, I'll construct a whole army for you, or I'll paint you some stuff, or I'll make you some terrain. If you're able to do that, then that's a good way of supporting your hobby as well. So those are the 10 points, and now for the 3 extra bonus points. Number 1 is don't be fussy. Now what I mean by that is don't feel that you have to buy every new release as it comes out, and also every unit that replaces an older one. For example, give you an example of an army, the Tyranids that I've collected. So when the new Tyranids came out, I got the Codex, and then just looked for it. Same approach. I've already got an army, but just looked through the Codex, and then really thought about it, and I've decided really just to buy one new unit, just the Hive Crone, the Harpy, the Flyer. I'm going to get one of those, and that's it. And then the new Raveners came out, the plastic Raveners. I've got lead ones, and I'm not going to be fussy. I'm just going to keep the lead ones. I'm quite happy with them, and I don't feel a need to get the new Raveners. And by doing that, 6 Raveners, if I stick to the old ones, I've saved myself a whole load of money and time, just for the sake of having the new figures on the table. If you take that approach, if you've got an army, new one comes out, just a new codex, a couple of new units, and not really fussed on replacing the old stuff with the new releases. If it's the same type of unit, then you're going to save yourself a lot of money there. So the Tyranids, just keep them running, and it hasn't cost you much at all to update them. Then number 2 is to revamp a force, and I've done that with the Tau. The Tau I started collecting years ago, and then just recently I was looking around for an army to do. Instead of collecting a whole new force, I took an old army that I previously collected and then revamped it. I repainted it, developed a new style, and then remodeled the army, bought a few of the new releases, and have turned an old army into an updated one. And that's a good way of saving yourself some money. Instead of having to buy the entire force, you just take what you've already got and then build upon that foundation. And half the stuff in my Tau army, perhaps even more, 2/3 of it, is from my previous collection, and I haven't had to go out and buy the stuff. I've just revamped it, breathed new life into it, and very happy with that new army indeed. And then thirdly, the final point, and it's a massive one, and one that I forgot to mention, that is birthdays and Christmas. I always look forward to a birthday and Christmas, because that's when I can get my new stuff. I ask my mum, my dad, and brother and sister. I say, look, these are the things that I'd like to get, and then often they'll get them for me. So I'm still painting at the moment. We're in the middle of May, and I'm still painting stuff that I've got from birthday and Christmas. So that's a good way of getting your units in and saving yourself some money. You haven't had to buy them. You've just got them for your birthday and for Christmas as well. So big point. A lot of my presents, a lot of my units are presents that I previously had as well. And James and I, we buy each other the present that we get for birthdays and Christmas is usually a Warhammer 40,000 unit or vehicle of some kind. So those are the points. There's 13 points there, and if you apply all of those, then I'm sure they are going to be very helpful indeed. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I encourage you to share this video with all your 40k friends. Email it out to them, share it, put it on your Facebook, and then I'm sure that'll be a help to a lot of people. Check out the comments section. There'll be others out there, experienced gamers, that will tell you some ways of saving money as well. So there are people out there, and they'll tell you, don't collect Games Workshop, it's too expensive. But with a little bit of wisdom and some patience and a little bit of cunning, then there's no reason why this hobby can be one that doesn't cost you too much. And you can, as I said at the beginning, even if you're paying full price, you're paying £300 for an army in the space of a year, £100 for your materials. Compared to other hobbies, that's not so bad. But if you apply these points to that, then there's no reason why you can't enjoy the hobby to a great degree, but also the actual cost of that hobby, keeping it right down to a very low amount. So those are the points. They're all tried and tested. I've used them, continue to use them, and it really helps. Check the comment section below. I'm sure there'll be other gamers out there that will give you their advice and certain things that you can do on there as well. But maybe you've been out of Games Workshop hobby collecting Warhammer 40,000 for quite a while. You've been put off, you've got stung in the past, you've spent out lots of money. But perhaps this can help you take a fresh approach and start again, and just start from small. Don't wade straight into it. Just take a small force and enjoy just collecting one unit at a time. And hopefully you can reap the rewards of a hobby that is very dynamic and fun to get involved with. So thanks for watching this one. Hope those points have been helpful to you. Share it with all your friends. Anyone that's into Warhammer 40,000, forward this one onto them, and then I'm sure it can be a help to a whole load of people. So thanks for watching, and tune in next time.